Welcome to Third Eye Champagne. I'm Kirsten, Langston, author and intuitive. I have with me today my dear friend, very gifted psychic, very gifted writer, Miss Eliza of Moon Pluto Astrology.
Hi.
What is that lip color you're wearing? Because I'm obsessed with it.
Do you want me to go get it? I think, you know what? I think it's Burt's Bees.
Are you kidding me?
I think it's like a Burt's Bees, and it's like 5 years old at least, because I'm not a person who buys. Anyway, so it's I'll at the end you want me to go get it?
You don't have to go get it. You can just text it to me later, but I'm like obsessed with it.
It's a Burt's Bees, but it's not like the little chapstick kind.
Right.
It's a bigger one, but then I put a little of the little one on top, so I'm like.
That's good. It's a good color. Let's talk about lipsticks. We're here today discussing a little thing called the Saturn Pluto conjunction. But I need to know the tea on this Saturn Pluto conjunction. The only thing I know.
I have tea.
The only thing I understand is that it's a big deal. And that, like, all these astrologers are like, oh my God, the Saturn Pluto conjunction 2020. Like, that's all I know and understand. Before we get into it, I will say you should come and hang out with us on our Patreons. We both have Patreons. Eliza has a YouTube channel. She does a lot of, she's into live streams lately, which I'm super into.
I started going live lately, and that's all I'm doing there. I just show up. And you know what we talk about? Sometimes we talk about nothing, and it's very fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So, yeah.
We talk about nothing.
If you want to get in on that, get in on that. I am rolling out a lot of new stuff on my Patreon this year, which I'm super excited about. So that $2 tier is still there. People were worried I was going to take it away. I'm not taking it away. You're safe and sound.
I may need to upgrade because I'm a member of yours. I may need to go higher.
I'm a member of yours, but I don't know where. I don't know what level.
I don't know where you are. I need more of your stuff.
I want to do lots more with Mr. Casey Watson because he is just the living
Now
end.
I want to do a video with him now too.
I know. Everybody wants a piece of that Watson ass.
Piece of that Gemini.
Yeah, that Gemini. I did take a peek at Casey's chart, which is weird because it's actually like got a lot of like psychic stuff in it.
I believe it.
Yeah, which is weird because I just didn't see it, and then I was going to do his whole chart for him. I'm not an astrologer. I'm a hobbyist.
Can we do that? Can we make a video devoted just to Casey for his fans?
Oh my God!
Because I think now he has this third eye.
He does.
This third eye. He has Casey connection.
He has a fan base. I will tell you guys. I was at their show because my husband's band, Casey's in it. They just played. Old from Casuals, guys. Old from Casuals. Go check them out. But I was at a show, and Casey is kind of like the co-lead, so he's like singing, and he's in the middle of the song, and then all of a sudden he just screams "Third Eye Champagne," and I was like, "Wait, did I just hear that right?" My cousin was with me, and she was like, "That's you!"
That's funny.
It was good shit. So, all right, girl, spill some tea. What do we have on this conjunction? What does it mean? I'm terrified. Should I be terrified?
No, and that's what people ask me all the time. Should I be afraid no matter what's going on? Should I be afraid? One of these days I'm going to tell people yes.
Yes, you should.
I haven't done that yet. Okay, so I've got notes here, but I'm going to condense them.
Okay.
But yeah, the least you need to know, first of all, this is happening in January. It is happening January 12th, 2020, in the sign of Capricorn, and the conjunction will happen at 22 degrees. Now, if you are a person who is familiar, if you're familiar with your chart at least a little, don't get fixated on 22. Like, it still matters for you if you're like matching it up in your chart and you're saying, oh, I have such and such planets at 19 or 20 or 21 or 22 or 23. Like, that still matters. It's still in the room, still very close to this conjunction. But if you have planets at that degree, then you need to pay extra attention, okay? Did that make sense so far?
Yes, and oh shit, I do have planets at that degree. My sun is near that degree.
Oh, so that's very nice for you because that makes a sextile because Scorpio sun is sextile Capricorn.
I thought you were just going to say sex. I thought she was just going to say sex, and I was like, I'm getting laid.
Well, we can talk about sex because I'm actually under a Jupiter 5th house transit, so we can talk about that. We'll do that in the Casey video.
We'll start spilling all our personal astrological tea with Casey.
I think that would be super fun.
Actually,
all right. All right, enough sniffling. So let's go into this. Now, there's a few things that we should start off with. So I'm gonna try to do this in a very focused way. So I'm gonna pretend that I'm just talking to Kirsten like on the phone.
Yes, I love that.
Okay. All right, Kirsten. So first of all, folks need to know what a conjunction is. Okay, because we're talking about two planets here. We're talking about Saturn, Pluto, and of course, people are saying, and it's a conjunction. So what does this mean? And I'm going to tell you. A conjunction, the least you need to know, is a fusion of energies. Like think Saturn is not really Saturn anymore, like whatever Saturn, we'll talk about that, what Saturn is on its own. It's no longer Saturn acting alone. It's no longer Pluto acting alone. They're merged. They're fused.
They're holding hands.
Worse. It's like
they're having sex.
Yeah, it's like penetrative. It's linked. It's linked.
Okay.
It's a penetrative aspect. There's a fusion. They can't be separated. So they're like you can't unlink them.
Okay.
At this moment. Now Saturn moves faster than Pluto, so it's going to move ahead. So it's going to separate, like it comes together, and because right now it's building, it's applying what they say, like it's building, closer. Then on the 12th,
visualize, it's exact.
It's exact, and then it will separate. Saturn's just gonna cruise along, and then it'll be done. But there's gonna be a moment of impact. I'd have to look up like exactly what time, but there is a moment, like there is an exact moment of impact. So that's a conjunction. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect.
So they're no longer acting alone, and we're talking about two planets here. We're talking about two planets. And it's intense. Like if you have a conjunction in your personal chart, in your birth chart, you are probably a fairly intense person. And whichever planets it happens to be, it's going to have to do with those planets. Like if your moon is involved in a conjunction in your own personal chart, it's going to have an effect on your emotions, on your emotional life, or your family life, or your relationship to your mother, because those are also moon things.
Right.
But it's very intense. That's the effect of a conjunction, is intensity because of this fusion. And what's another thing that's remarkable about this is that these planets are very heavy. These aren't the light, as if there are any really light ones.
Right.
Astrologers think there are, but as if this could be like a lighter, happier thing. I probably shouldn't have said happier, but it could be a different combination, right? Like maybe it would be. Okay, wait, skip that part. Wait, let me backtrack.
We got some heavy hitters. These guys are heavy hitters. These guys pull no punches.
Yeah, they're heavy, serious energy. But one more thing about the conjunction, it's like having two heads or like having two hearts, but it's also still fused. Okay. Yeah, and they're heavy hitters. It's very intense. Now we're going to go even a little deeper, but I felt it was important to understand at least the conjunction, to know that this isn't a principle of separation or a principle of opposition or like inner struggle. Right. No, it's the opposite. It's like this fusion. It gives me chills even to think about it. It's like I agree. It's this very intense combination. It cannot be pulled apart. So think of someone that you love, that you don't want to be, it's like it's that feeling when you're wildly in love with someone, like you cannot be pulled apart. Or like even, it's very spiritual. Like if you think of people who are devotees of any spiritual path or religion, it's that, it's as intense as that spiritual devotion. Like you cannot be pulled apart from your God or whatever. Okay. So the planets involved, obviously, because it's the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. They are Saturn and Pluto. Those are the two planets involved, right? On a good day, and again, this is least you need to know, on a good day, Saturn builds.
Yes.
It puts things together. It's very supportive. It rules structure.
Right.
But on a bad day, Saturn can be very rigid,
Right.
and it can be very stern, and it can be very cold. So there's a difference between support and structure and rigidity. So I'm giving you the lower vibration and higher vibration for, understanding. And Saturn is also, it's slow. Like we think of the activity of Saturn as, it's not like Uranus. Uranus is very much a flash. Uranus is very fast. Like things fall apart in an instant, or things grow in an instant when Uranus is involved. Very sudden energy.
Yeah, it's the tower. It's tower energy.
Yes, yes. And Saturn is more emperor.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, Saturn slow and steady wins the race, and you have to do all the steps. You don't skip shit with Saturn. Like with Saturn, if you skip shit, Saturn will be like, go back and do it again. Like Saturn to me is, this is my Saturn. I had this teacher, and I'm going to give you some, this is how I see Saturn. I had this teacher, she was a freshman English teacher, and when we were in 6th grade in a different school, we started hearing about Miss Boyette. And you don't mess around with Miss Boyette. You do not mess with this woman. Like, everybody's going, you just wait till you get to your freshman year. So we get already having this terror, and she taught all the classes but one. And of course, I'm in her freshman English class. I get in there, and she is this force of nature that if you don't do all the steps, and if she knows you can do better, and you don't do your best, you're just going to do it again. She used to say, this is my Saturn moment. No matter what, she would walk up and down the aisles of the classroom. Ain't no half-stepping in my class, young people. That was Mrs. Boyette. That's Saturn. You do not half-step in the class with Saturn. You don't. Well said. Excellent example. Excellent. I don't think we need to add to that. That's perfect. Thank you. I can do stuff sometimes. I'm not an astrologer. I'm so not. But I get stuff sometimes. Like Mrs. Boyette is Saturn. You understand the energies. You totally understand the energies. Yeah, that is absolutely Saturn. No skipping steps. Now, Pluto, on the other hand, so actually, before we go to Pluto, keep in mind we're still dealing with the fusion of energies. Right. So on the one hand, we have this slow building, don't skip. Okay? Right. And now Saturn is hanging out with Pluto. What does Pluto do? Pluto destroys. Yes. Pluto is death and rebirth. Pluto transforms. Pluto exposes what is sick so that I can come in and heal it. Right. Pluto kills. They both can bring crisis on their own. But here we have a principle of crystallization, which can become stagnant. I guess crystallization is it necessarily stagnant? All right, I'm doing Virgo moon hair splitting. Anyway, a principle of structure, building, which can become sick. It has become sick, like the government. Right. Because there's not enough change. Right. And it's hanging out with, it's fusing with death and rebirth. Right. It's hanging out with something has to die. It's hanging out with something is sick and we have to heal it. And they can't be separated. And they're in the sign of Capricorn. So it's super, super slow. It's this Capricorn Saturn theme is emphasized, like doubly, triply. Oh, is triply a word? It is now. over and over. We cannot avoid the Saturn themes here. So everyone watching this, that's what they need to study essentially. Like even if you don't know your own chart, you will understand this energy. If you study Saturn, if you understand Capricorn, you will understand the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. I think that's even far more important than understanding Pluto. But understand Pluto by understanding that something has to die. Okay, not that something has to die, something has been dying. Right. Something has been dying a slow, disgusting death for years. Slow, disgusting death, okay. Where Capricorn is in your own chart, so just like in your own life, something has been dying, everything's like running out. It's like there's nothing left. It's this total desert. And then Saturn entered Capricorn. When was that? 2018, I think. Yeah. Or late 2017. So Saturn goes into Capricorn and goes, all right, we're going to build. Right. We're going to, something new. We're going to take this scorched earth, this Pluto and Capricorn, we're going to take this, everybody's dying, I'm never going to live, I'm never going to have any hope. Saturn's going to come in and say, okay, we're going to build, but we're going to make you wait. Yeah. We're going to make you work for it, because Saturn is work. We're going to make you depressed. We're going to make you feel the cruelty of life. We're going to make you feel deprived.
and that nothing will ever be okay ever again in that part of your life, in that specific part of your life. So this is like where we are. Like, this is the moment, right? We're at this very moment where we've been dying. Saturn showed up and said, hey, I've got some tools. I'm going to help you rebuild in this dying place. We're still in this process, but we're at a moment. All right. So we're at this moment. And then Jupiter entered Capricorn. So all of a sudden there's this light. Like, okay, now we've got tools. We have the Saturn tools. But Jupiter showed up to say, hey, something actually can be built.
Right.
Maybe we can go a little faster. Maybe we can be a little hopeful. You know, like there's a little hope on the horizon.
Right.
Jupiter to Capricorn. It's at a lower degree, but it's in the same sign during this conjunction. Are you still with me?
Totally with you.
Okay, that was a good part. So there has been, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction is reminding us that there has been a process of destruction in a certain part of all of our lives.
So when you have the god of death and regeneration meeting up with the god of building, what kind of sandwich are we eating? like what, you know, what are we eating?
It's dust and ashes.
It's dust and ashes.
It's a sandwich of dust and ashes. I feel like we have felt 100% hopeless until Jupiter got there. I really see. We weren't going to talk about Jupiter, but I think it's necessary because Jupiter going into Capricorn will give us some hope and some light and some change back to that part of our life that has been dying this slow, disgusting death. And I feel like it's a turning point, though. The Saturn-Pluto conjunction is a turning point that we're on the road from the wilderness to the promised land, so to speak, that things are going to start to turn. It's both. It's not just the eclipses. It's Jupiter going into Capricorn, and it's this conjunction where it's a stopping point. It's an oasis. Okay, we're in the desert. We've been in the desert. The Saturn-Pluto conjunction is actually an oasis where we can just stop, have a drink, and reflect. Okay, this is dead, or this has been dying. This is... I want to make another point, though.
Yes.
What you build under this transit is going to last. So be careful where you put your energy. It's like making a promise to the universe. It's like sacrificing. You know, if you pray and you say, okay, just give me what I want and I'll...
Right,
it's like
I'll do whatever it takes. I don't care.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful where you decide to plant that seed, essentially. Because something is growing now. Something is taking root.
Okay.
I have more. Please. I mean, that was all kind of philosophical and the energy, but I have some things that are actually like facts.
Okay.
Facts. I'm a fact witness now. Did that make sense, though? Any questions about that?
That made perfect sense. I mean, I think what we're looking at in practical terms, and, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, but I think what we're looking at here is we're kind of going to start looking around, and maybe there are things that you were like, I didn't realize this was dying, or I was trying to not pay attention to this, and Saturn and Pluto kind of, when they meet up, they go, so you're going to pay attention to this now, and you're going to understand what's leaving you, and you're going to understand, in a sense, where you're headed.
And I think people know exactly what it is. They already know where it's been dead when there's been no action, because there's something that they've wanted and they can't get it. So I think people have been feeling the lack. Like they already know. If you ask someone, you know, where does it hurt? They're going to tell you it hurts here. And I bet you we'd be able to find that in the chart, like it would match up. You know, like if someone wants love and they don't have love, you know, Pluto and Saturn have been in their 5th house or their 7th house, you know, right. Or, you know, they need more money and they can't figure out their work situation. You know, that 2nd house, 8th house, or
right.
6th are being affected by this. But I think people know. I think they know where they feel deprived and where they feel hungry. This is a hunger transit. Saturn Pluto is a hunger transit.
What else? Do you have anything else? Like, what do we do? Yeah.
Another thing that's really significant about this is that it's rare. So it happens around, because the cycle can vary, but it happens around every 36, 37 years that we have a Saturn Pluto conjunction. So this is another reason why it's so important, is because it is rare. And I actually wrote down the years for when it was conjunct previously in recent history, but it was conjunct in different signs. It wasn't in Capricorn, it was in other signs. So this happened in 1914, it happened in 1947, and it happened in 1982. That was the most recent one, was 82. We had a Saturn Pluto conjunction. The last one was in Libra. I mean, I'm sure, I've had, when Saturn went into Libra, when was this? When was the last time? It was like 2000, I can't remember what year that was. Wasn't 2013. I forget. But it was recent. It was recent.
Oh, it was 2012. It was 2012. I remember it. It was 2012.
And I had all these clients who were born with that conjunction. Like they were coming out in droves because they were having their Saturn return when Saturn was Libra. So I had all of them. But 1914, 1947, 1982, I might have missed another one in there because my math is bad. But those were previous Saturn-Pluto conjunctions, but in other signs. So
it's a big deal.
It doesn't happen every day. Surrender to the dying. I was like looking at my notes here. Surrender to the dying, to the slowness, and letting it change you. That's ultimately the highest vibration of Pluto, is surrendering to what's happening, because we can't fight it. We can't fight what's going on. So we have to let it run over us, basically.
Yeah.
And Pluto's obsessed also. Pluto is extremely obsessed.
So let's do some cards on the Saturn Pluto and just see. I need some space on the desk. Oh, Kirsten, what's on your desk? Oh, let me show you. It's my books and Elise's book.
Aw.
Buy them. Just going to tell you to buy them. With Saturn, when Saturn was in my 12th house, I learned how to do the work. 12th house, for whatever reason. I was like, oh, this is how we do this. It was also... My Saturn return was just a bitch. But Saturn in the 12th was like, it's like I got it. And I was like, oh, if I just do what's in front of me, then I don't get my ass kicked. It's Mrs. Boyette. I'm telling you, it's Mrs. Boyette. Shout out to Mrs. Boyette. She used to have this enormous powder puff. She would just powder her face in the middle of class with the biggest powder puff I've ever seen in my life.
Maybe she's watching.
Probably not, but... probably not, because she worked in Catholic school and seemed fairly religious, and
things change.
Things do change. She was scary, but she was cool. Okay, so I do have some. Elise's talking about pain and heartbreak, and that is here. It's here in the cards. So I'm asking, what do we need to know? And I did one of my bastardized Celtics, like I do. Saturn is here with the sword. So Saturn is here saying, I'm cutting it down. Pluto and I are getting together, and we're cutting it down. We're cutting whatever's not working. We're cutting it down. We're getting rid of it, so you can have a better, brighter future. Okay, great. And then we have that just kind of came off to the side, and then we have the Celtic over here, and it's heartbreak. It's heartbreak. We have heartbreak here. It is pain, but the sun is above it, so it's like you got to go through this to get to this. That's how it's going to work.
Jupiter.
Yeah, and that is Jupiter. Yeah, that is Jupiter touching everything, for sure. But yeah, you have to go through this bullshit, and it is building. You are building at the root of the reading. So know this that you are building stuff. It's not just pain for the sake of pain. It's not just crap for the sake of crap. Although Pluto does rule crap, which is exciting, I'm sure, for everyone to know. But it's building. You're building stuff, and you've got a lot of wands here. So I think your advice, first of all, don't flip out. This is like advice number one is Four of Swords, don't flip out. You don't flip out. These came up together. So they're saying don't flip out, but also you don't want to do the four. You don't want to just lay down and be like, oh, I'm tired. No, you have to do the Queen and the Page. You have to get up and you have to do stuff, and you have to build stuff, and you have to make stuff, and you have to work at stuff. And, this is a suit of regeneration. The wands are sprouting leaves. You can see that. Hello, look at my pretty leaves. I don't know why I have to make my cards talk in a high-pitched voice like that. But they have leaves. They're growing leaves. So they may have once been barren, just like a friggin' tree, but they always resprout their leaves. You do have some sorrow here, and you need to acknowledge it and address it. Period, point blank. That's what I've got. What do you got, girl?
I got some really intense cards. First of all, this is ultimately a good thing. For those of you who don't feel that, for those of you who don't feel any good, whatever your particular crisis is at this time, you ultimately will be celebrating. You will reach the promised land. Out of this Saturn Pluto conjunction, it's going to be a celebration, as we see in the Three of Cups. Mm-hmm. There's ultimately going to be joy. There's ultimately going to be dancing. There's ultimately going to be reunion with loved ones. We are absolutely, gosh, how do I put this? Another confirmation, reinforcement of this celebration.
Wow.
That we're ultimately going somewhere. We're ultimately going somewhere. We have the Chariot. We're completely on the road. There is change. The changes that are happening in the Capricorn part of your chart, the changes that are happening because of this conjunction and because of Jupiter entering that house and because of the eclipse, because of all these reasons, it's there to move us forward. You know how I was saying before, it's like a stopping point? It's a stopping point where we catch our breath and we kind of look around and we reflect and we have a little bit of water. And recover from being thirsty in the desert and being hungry and like all the things happening in your cards, all that sadness. After, wait a minute, what date does it happen? I can't remember. All my notes were off to the side. After January 12th.
There we go. Visual aid.
After January 12th is absolutely a turning point. It is absolutely a turning point because this is what happens after. It might be slow at first, but then it's like this, and this is not slow at all.
No, it zooms.
It's ultimately a celebration, but you know what? In the midst of these cards, and I even got more saying the same thing. Look at this.
Wow, that's amazing.
But in the midst of this, you cannot take your eyes off of what needs to be done.
Right.
Pluto, I mean, this is the devil. Obsession. You know, I was thinking this the other day. It's okay to be obsessed now because the energies are working with us. They're not working against us. They're actually working with us. When we had the Uranus-Pluto square, which went on for years, which was very destructive, the obsession wasn't helpful. Right. The obsessions took us in the wrong direction, and the obsessions made us sick. But now it's different. It's completely different. Besides that, the signs that the planets are in actually get along instead of being at odds. So obsession is actually, I advise it. Okay. I recommend the obsession, but then you have to figure out exactly what to do.
If you want to find Eliza, it's www.moonplutoastrology.com. Listen, she's not only a really good astrologer, she's a very gifted intuitive. We read for each other all the time, and this is my favorite thing because we read for each other all the time, and then you'll get a text message and it's like, holy shit, validation, here you go. We're always going yes, what you said came true. She'll say it to me, I say it to her. It's amazing. So check her out, get a reading with her. I'm telling you this again. She books up very, very quickly. She's going to continue to book up very, very quickly. She's going to end up with a wait list, I think, pretty quick here. So get in where you fit in with her. I am only doing email readings, and I'm probably going to open those up to the public at a higher price, so it makes more sense to be a patron, because you're going to pay $10 more. But if you want a reading with me, that's how you're going to get one. Or Eliza and I did some joint readings in the fall, and I flew out to New York, and she's sitting in my chair right now. This is what's happening. She's sitting in my chair in her house. So
this is your chair.
I think we're going to do it again in the spring, and that's the only way you're going to get a live reading with me right now. That's the only possible way you're going to get a live reading with me right now. There are some tiers on my Patreon that it's going up that you can get readings once a month, but it's not cheap. I'm not going to lie, it's not cheap. But if you want a live reading, it's me and her. That's the only way you're going to get it. So come be a patron of mine, come be a patron of hers, because patrons get first dibs on those readings. And
that's true.
And again, I mean, we talked about this in the other video, so I'm not going to beat it to death, but it was very magical. It was very, very magical. And we found this really great spot in Brooklyn. What was it? Brooklyn Burgers? Oh, it was delicious. Oh my God. It was delicious.
The dinner.
It was delicious. So you can find her at moonplutoastrology.com. That's where you can book. You can find me, KirstenLangston.rocks. If you want to be part of the Patronia family, I will put the link in the box. I will put the link for Lisa in the box. And we will now say goodbye, Lisa, and thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you.